Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 127 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today we are going to be talking about AdWords, and we're going to be talking about 5 pretty simple things that you can do that will help to increase your AdWords campaign's effectiveness, hopefully increase your return on investment, and also give you a better, clearer picture of what is actually producing a return for you. So it's 5 pretty simple steps, or pretty simple checklist items that you can just go through. Make sure that your AdWords account is kind of in compliance with these things, and you'll hopefully be able to see some pretty significant results pretty quickly. So it's going to be a great episode. It doesn't matter if you're a specialty practice, if your clients are searching for you on Google with AdWords, if you're doing AdWords, which I suggest that every single practice use AdWords. Hands down, it's one of the best ways to reach your clients, specifically who are looking for transactional kind of searches. So something that every practice can use. It's going to be a great episode. Be sure to listen all the way through. Before we begin, I got a few things to mention. First, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in iTunes or Google Play. And if you could do me a huge favor, please leave me an honest review. I would really appreciate it. If you ever have any questions, comments, or need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can go to veterinarymarketingpodcast.com. Up in the top right-hand corner, we've got all of the social icons. You can send me a message on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, send me an email. Whatever you need to do. If you have help, need help with anything, have questions, please send me an email. I'm happy to help. I'd also like to mention that this episode is being sponsored by our friends at usedvetequipment.com. This is Brad Haven's website. It's been online for now over 5 years, and Used Vet Equipment helps to bring buyers and sellers together. So do you have equipment that's just sitting around in your storage room that you'd like to sell? Are you looking to save money and buy used? If you're looking for anything from cages to kennels to x-rays, ultrasounds, surgery and laser equipment, laboratory equipment from IDEX or Abaxis, tables, tubs, sinks, all kinds of miscellaneous items. If you're wanting to buy or sell, you can go to usedvetequipment.com. It's kind of like the eBay for vets. And the website works great. Brad has really created a system that helps to protect both the buyer and the seller so that everybody gets a fair deal, and that they also get exactly what is described. So it protects both of the buyers and sellers party. So if you go to usedvetequipment.com, you can take a look at the testimonials. Be sure to let Brad know that you heard about it from the podcast, and check it out. It's definitely a very cool site. Brad is a good guy, and he's been around for a long time doing this. So if you have any questions, be sure to reach out to Brad on usedvetequipment.com. So if you want to sell anything vet related, head on over to usedvetequipment.com. One other thing that I want to mention too is that if you need any help with your AdWords account or your AdWords setup or anything like that, you can send me a message too, and I'm happy to help with that. I do offer AdWords services for veterinary practices, so if you have questions about it, just don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help with that as well. So let's get into today's episode. We're talking about AdWords. So the 5 things that we're going to be talking about specifically, we're going to be talking about Dayparting. We're going to be talking about AdWords Express versus full AdWords. Should you be using AdWords Express? We're going to be talking about callouts, callout extensions. We're going to talk about campaigns and what should you limit your campaigns to. And then we're going to talk about connecting AdWords and analytics and making sure that those are integrated. So Dayparting is the first one that we're going to be talking about. Dayparting is important because if you run let's say a small animal practice and you're running Google AdWords on a standard account, when you set this up, it typically won't be set up so that it's connected to the same hours that your practice is open. If you're a 24-hour practice, it's a different story. You're not going to have to worry about this. You may want to change your ads, though, if you are a 24-hour practice, so that you make note of things when it's after hours and other places are not open. So, for example, if you are open, let's say from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then that's it, you're not going to want to be running ads when people are searching in the middle of the night. It depends on the ads that you're actually running. So if you're running what we call transactional keywords, which people are making buying decisions, right? They're looking for a vet near me, or they're looking for, something where they're saying, hey, I want to come in. My pet is sick, and I want to bring him in. I'm looking, actively searching for somebody to bring them to. If you are showing up and it's 9 p.m. on a Saturday, and somebody's looking for a vet because their dog is choking on a bone, or has, something's bad's going on. If you show up and you're getting clicks at after hours, it's not a good thing. And so you're wasting money because nobody's going to answer the phone. And so the person's going to click, go through, try to contact you, become frustrated, leave, and go to the next one. So you don't want to be showing up when you're not open for business. So that's called dayparting. It's a pretty simple thing to set up. You can set it up by the day of the week, and also hours that you're there. So just like it's probably not smart for Pizza Hut to run ads at 6 or 7 in the morning, it's not smart for a veterinary practice to run ads when they're not open. So make sure that is the case. If you're a specialty practice or a 24-hour practice, or an after hours type practice, then it's important that you run during those times, because probably chances are those are going to be very, very effective for you to generate clients. And so you can daypart specific campaigns. And so maybe you want to have a campaign that's just standard, and then you also want to have a campaign that is specifically created for after hours, and the headlines say we're open 24 hours a day, because that might be helpful to get more attention then. So that is dayparting, and everybody should be doing dayparting. It makes sense, and it will help you to get more bang for your buck, especially if you don't have a large budget. And so a lot of the practices that I talk to and work with, they don't have an unlimited budget, and so they need to make their dollars work, and this is one way to do that. The next thing that I get a lot of questions about is AdWords Express. So AdWords Express is a very simple, very simplified version of AdWords, and it's better than nothing to have AdWords Express up. My only concern is that when you're on AdWords Express, typically the people that are running AdWords Express account versus the standard AdWords account is they have a small budget, so they're trying to do it themselves, which is perfectly fine. But the difference between AdWords, the standard account, and AdWords Express is there are a lot more features and options and customization available, and it's honestly not that much more difficult to go through a standard AdWords account. I think that for the most part, every veterinary practice, I'm not going to say every veterinary practice, but if you're a single doctor practice or you're very, very busy already, you should probably hire out your AdWords work, because number one, it's changing all the time. There's always cool new features coming out. There's always new ways to optimize. And so having management of that is usually not very expensive and can produce a great return on investment for you, because it's difficult to manage everything in a practice. So there's that. But if you're running AdWords Express account, typically what happens, and what I see happening, is that AdWords is really good at taking money from advertisers. And that's what it's really set up to do. A lot of times people will get the notices from Google that say, hey, there's opportunities for these keywords. And then you just start adding keywords like crazy, because you get there and you're looking through and you're like, oh yeah, you know what, that would be a good keyword. The problem is that you're adding broad match keywords. And I've actually had clients that were adding keywords, and what ended up happening was they were ultimately getting results for celebrity dogs that people were searching for. Chrissy Teigen's dog update, which is crazy. And they were getting clicks for that, which was waste of money. It was like $1.70 per click too. And so when it's easy to set up, there are a lot of things that can go wrong, being that you can add too many broad match keywords to your campaigns. And so just to let you know, there's three kinds of matches. We have a broad match, a phrase match, and an exact match. So broad match is anything that's kind of, if you put dog in your campaign, for example, as a broad match, anything dog related is going to show up. So if somebody searches Petco, for example, that's a broad match. It'll come up because contextually it's related. If, all kinds of things, like people could be looking up dog toys for kids, let's say a stuffed animal dog. It's not a real, like dog actually, but something that's just has kind of a relation to dogs, like a dog coloring book. If you have a broad match for dog, you're going to show up in that. And so you got to really be careful not to get too broad. Otherwise, you're going to just really dilute your results, and you're going to say, hey, this is not working for me. Especially if you have a very small budget, and I'm going to say a small budget is less than $100 per day. It's important that you're really going to use every click, because there's way more search volume than you have money, and so you can be very targeted and reach really people that are looking for veterinarians and not necessarily people that are just searching for dog-related information or cat-related information, or, insert blank there, whatever it is that you're searching or bidding on. So if you have a small campaign, it's even more important that you're just using phrase matches and exact matches. That way you can really narrow down and see what works. I would say, though, that if you use broad keywords and you insert negative keywords, which is going to take some time to find out what people are searching for that you don't want to use, that would be appropriate. It's just going to take you a little while to see, okay, I'm showing up for dog coloring books. I don't want to do that, so you put that as a negative keyword. Anyways, that's a thought about AdWords Express. So I would be careful whenever you're doing automatic setups, especially if you're running it on your own, just because they tend to help you to get a lot of clicks, which may not convert, and so it may be a bit of a waste of money. So make sure that it's, as much as possible, you're using all of the tools available, and don't go through AdWords Express, just go through the standard AdWords, because it's going to be more effective for you. The next thing that we're going to talk about here are callouts. And so callouts are different extensions on the ads that you can do. And so if somebody's searching for for example, veterinarian near me, which is a great search term to be bidding on, or, vet near, and then your city name, things like that. There's a lot of reasons why somebody could be looking for a veterinarian. They could be looking for boarding. They could be looking for vaccinations. They could be looking for specific, services. It depends. And so that's a very kind of broad search. And so giving them more options is helpful. So callouts and callout extensions and extensions on Google AdWords are very helpful because it lets the person identify what's important to them, and it gives them more options and more data. It lets you put bigger ad copy in there, and it really helps to show what your practice is offering. And so I like to add callouts for all the services that you have, not all of them, but I'd say maybe the 3 or 4 most popular. So if you do vaccinations, if you do spay and neuter, if you do, because that's like common things people are searching for, grooming or boarding, and also, book an appointment or about the doctor. Those kind of things are very important to test. Another thing that I like to do is add call extensions, so people can just call you directly from the ad instead of having to go to the website and then search from there to find your phone number and things. So there's a call button that you can add to the ads pretty easily. You can also do map and directions so that people can find out how to get there. And those are helpful. They really help to increase your conversion. And they show you, at least with some detail, that you are getting phone calls here. And so once somebody calls, I think that's probably a better interaction because you can then, answer the questions and get them in. So there's a better chance of getting them in as a client. So I like that a lot. So one thing, though, when we're talking about callouts and extensions for the AdWords, that you make sure to not just send all of the traffic to the same pages. So make sure that you're sending the specific services to that service page, or to a landing page that you create, ideally with some kind of offer so that you can collect contact information. So whenever possible, try and collect contact information. If you can't do that, then send them to the specific page about the service. Make sure that the phone number is clickable, especially on mobile, because a lot of the people that are on AdWords are mobile users, so make sure that it's optimized. People can easily contact you. Maybe they can send you an email, or they can call you easily. That's important. So the next thing that I'm going to say is an easy fix for ad campaigns, and this is something that I see. So an ad will be created, or not an ad, but a campaign will be created. Inside that campaign will be an ad group, and all of the practices ads and keywords and everything are within one ad group. And so having a bunch of keywords stuffed in to one ad group is typically not helpful, especially if you have a small budget. And so I'll see an ad that says it's just a general like veterinarian near me type ad, right? So we're just trying to generate awareness for people searching for veterinarians. And so they'll just start adding keywords and keywords and keywords. And what ends up happening is that we get people looking, keywords that are grooming and boarding and all kinds of things within that specific ad group. And so it ends up not being very tight as far as the ad copy to that ad group and the results that we're getting. And also what happens is that there might be high volume keywords that are taking all of that budget on that ad group. So you set a campaign budget, and then within that campaign budget, you have all of the different ad groups, and then you have the ads for each one of the ad groups. And so I'll see a lot of times that there will be ad spend that's spent completely pretty quickly, and a few of the keywords that are high volume keywords that may not be converting that well are just taking up all of the campaign budget. And so with campaigns and ad groups, it's important that you're keeping, number one, everything is very contextually related. So if you have, for example, you're trying to generate new clients that are cat owners, create an ad campaign that is just for cat owners and keep it very cat related. If you're going to be doing an ad group for dog owners or for puppy owners, make sure that you're keeping those AdWords very, very specific and keeping those tight so that you can see what is actually converting well for you in your practice. And then you'll be able to know, okay, this cat ad campaign is not converting very well for me. I'm spending, let's say, $15 a day here, and the result is that I'm, not seeing too many cats in the practice. And so I'm seeing, though, that this puppy campaign is producing well. I'm seeing a lot of new puppies here. I'm seeing that the click-through rate is high, that the call rate is high, or the get directions rate is high. So people are using this, and it's really working out. So I'm going to shift budget there. If you had all of those keywords and all of those ads just as a general thing, right? So you're adding puppy, kitten, senior dog, all of these things just into one campaign, you're not going to really know what is working well for your practice and which areas are going to produce a higher result, hopefully at a lower cost per click, or you're seeing maybe a new client for every 10 clicks, or whatever the metric is, and however you determine that, depending on what you're using for analytics and things. But keeping things concise and tight helps you to at least be able to look at the data and say, what, we're getting a lot of clicks here, but I'm not seeing this type of patient, or thinking about that, going through your practice management software and really determining what is working based on the results that you've got. So that's one thing that is pretty simple to do and easy to go through and just set up separate ads. One thing too is when you have concise ad groups that are keyword related, you're able to create ads that perform better. And if you're sending it to a specific page, you're going to have a higher quality score for your ad campaign, and everything's just going to work better. And so, making cat-specific ads, cat-specific ad groups and campaigns, and then setting the budget for those individually will be helpful for you, for sure. Okay, so the last thing is making sure that your Google AdWords and your Google Analytics are connected. So this is helpful because you can see what happens when people are on the site based on the traffic that you're sending, especially if you're using landing pages. This is very important because then you can see who is going through all of the steps, which ad groups are converting the best, which keywords are converting the best, and it's helpful for sure because without analytics, you are just kind of guessing, and so you're only seeing kind of the front end interaction of what's happening when people are searching. But when you have Google Analytics included, so if you're just using Google AdWords reporting, you're only seeing the front end. But if you have Google Analytics connected in there, and since it's owned by the same product, you get a great insight into the traffic and the keywords and interaction with the page based on the keywords. And so it's very helpful. One thing that you can do, if possible, is try to create offers that people will opt into once they do visit the pages. So, for example, if you're doing, let's say, a cat daycare offer, you're gonna do, a boarding in your practice specifically for cats, and you create an offer that is a special coupon code or a special first-time visit offer, something like that, where you have somebody opt in, it goes to a confirmation page. You can then create a goal and say, okay, this person is, let's say that our boarding rate is $25 per night, and they receive, let's say, 20% off. So they'll take a $5 off coupon for $25. And you can say, this client is worth $20. Here's what our conversion is. Here's what our ad spend is. And we can see if we are ROI positive. So you can look directly at it. You can say, here's how many people opted in. Here's what that would be worth on paper. Here's what they actually came in and spent. And here was our return on investment for this campaign. And that's pretty cool because a lot of practices, they don't have that set up. And so they're just kind of guessing and hoping. Now, there's a few things that make that a little bit difficult. If you don't have access to your website where you can't easily change it, that's a little bit more difficult. So you have to kind of weigh the pros and cons of, is it worth the time to measure this specifically? Or, if we're seeing, hey, we're increasing our cat boarding, to go back to that example, we're increasing our cat boarding by 30% this month. So it's pretty obvious, this is working. I don't know the exact number, but at least I know that business is up, and my ad spend is appropriate so that I'm making money and we're increasing profits at the practice. So ideally, we'd be measuring everything across every step of the funnel and every campaign. But realistically, I know that vet practices, they have limited budgets, so you might not be able to get specific tools that, you can't track everything with like a Wicked Reports, or, maybe you don't have it in the budget for CallRail or a call tracking system. And so you're just going to have to do the best you can based on what you see. So you might want to make sure to ask people where they heard about you and just try to get feedback that way. So I know that I talk about measuring and monitoring a lot, but at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that your practice is growing in the right direction. Make sure your metrics, as far as how many appointments you're booking, how many clients you have coming in, and things like that, is on an upward trend, so that you're staying busy and keeping people in your practice happy. So I hope that this was helpful for you. If you have questions about how to set up Google AdWords, set up analytics, things like that, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help and provide you with resources or help you get it done. So let me know if you have any questions, comments, need help with anything. And if you could do me a huge favor, please leave me an honest review in iTunes or Google Play if you enjoy the podcast. And don't forget to go on over to facebook.com/groups/the Veterinary Marketing Nerds. Sign up for that Facebook group and engage, ask your questions, and increase your practice's marketing and get better at it. So I hope that you have a fantastic week. I will see you on next week's episode.